Hey there everybody, Brian here. In this video I want to show you this car here. This is a 2019, pretty rare one this actually, Honda Civic, 180 horsepower, but this is what's called a Prestige. I've actually never ever had one of these for sale. Really unusual spec, great engine. So I'm going to run through all the features on the car, on the inside and the outside of the car. And I just want to give you the kind of context as to why you'd go for this version of the car. And then we'll have a drive in the car, we'll have a look around all the features on the inside, and hopefully by the end you'll have an idea of what this car is all about. It's a nice example, it's got a good service history, and it's got low mileage. Anyway, let's have a look around the features on the outside of the car, and then we'll go for a drive afterwards, and then we'll have a look around all the stuff that's on the inside. If there's any information you want on the car, 086 843 1945. Brian's my name. Call, text, WhatsApp, whatever suits, and I'll run through information about the car, information on trading in a car, or scrapping a car, or finance, or whatever you want to know. If you're at all familiar with any of the advertising I normally do, you'll know how much I really like this 1.5 turbo petrol engine. But somehow over the last 5 or 6 years when these cars were launched, I've just never ended up with this Prestige version, so I'm really excited to look around it. Traditionally on a Civic you had a 1 litre petrol, you had a 1.6 diesel, and then you had a 1.5 turbo petrol, which this is. However, when the car came out, I was 37? Yeah, 2017. Anyway, it's now 2022, or the end of 2022 into 2023, which means I'm 42 or 43 depending on the time, because my birthday soon. Anyway, so the thing about it is, when the car came out, the 1 litre was a big improvement over the previous 1.4 because it was turbocharged, 127 horsepower. The diesel was always the diesel, 120 horsepower, good torquey economical motor. But I was really excited when the 1.5 came out, because it was 182 horsepower. I remember looking at the brochure, looking at it, there was an S design, which is a 1.5, had nice skirts, had an exhaust on the rear, got really excited about that. Then they had a GT, which had a glass roof, cloth interior, but it had glass roof, push button start. And then they had a Prestige, which is this one here. Prestige came with things like full leather, really high spec, even heated seats on the rear and all that kind of stuff, but it didn't have the external kit. And it was the most expensive model, and I just couldn't get my head around it. Because in my head, I was kind of looking at it going, okay, hang on, you get the body kit and stuff for the first 2 models, but you don't get the body kit on this third most expensive model, but you get all the leather and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I think I was probably being slightly immature in how I was thinking about it, and I think this is starting to make sense to me now. So over the years, we used to get people that really wanted the 1.5, and they liked the body kit, but they just didn't feel that it was age appropriate, and I kind of don't really buy into that. I think if you like a car, you like a car. It doesn't really matter what age you are. But in some ways, some people, it's not that maybe they're worried about what other people think. It's more that they just want something that's a little bit more subtle, and that's what this car is. You're getting the power, you're getting an excellent level of specification, however, on the inside. And the outside still has a couple of subtle differences that make it different to the 1 litre version. Because you could be somebody that wants the power, and you might have something fancy in the shed at home, like that Pulsar GTIR, or not, but you want something when you get out and about in it, you don't want it to stand out too much, but you still want to have the nice power for when you put your foot down. Anyway, let's have a look around some of the stuff on the car. So if you are behind these cars, I think they look really, really smart with the way those LED taillights are along through here. So there's 2 little independent LEDs that come all the way around. It looks very, very cool. Customer specified the Malaysian VTEC Turbo badge. So that is a badge that doesn't come on them in Ireland as standard, but for some reason in Malaysia it did come standard on it. I think it's really smart looking because it is a VTEC Turbo. And actually, just for anyone that's looking at that badge, in some other countries people have questioned if there is VTEC Turbo. If you see, it's the exact same emblem that's on the engine. Now, just very, very loosely for anyone that may or may not be into this, some people ask, is this a VTEC engine? Yes, it is, but from years and years ago, if you remember some of the cars of the 90s and 00s, like that Clio 2 litre or that Pulsar GTIR, there was VTEC engines back then, and they had a cam change. So on the intake and the exhaust side, there was VTEC. These turbocharged ones have basically variable valve timing, but only on the exhaust side. So you don't actually get a change in engine tone. That's just to clarify for some people who are into it. For some people that might be gobbledygook and they mightn't know what it means, but hopefully that helps some of the people that might ask about it. The front end of the car, what was really nice on these Prestiges, like all the 1.5s, you got these really nice LED lights. So the headlights and the indicators were LED, and the full lights then inside, they're obviously LED as well. Nice light washers in through here, which I always found were really kind of upmarket looking. I thought they looked really nice. And then the front fog lights even, they're also an LED as well. Just in case you're wondering why I'm in the workshop. As usual, it is stupidly windy outside, and these videos really don't work when it's windy. Anyway, the grille at the front, so there is this chrome grille along through here, which was traditionally on a sedan, but What's kind of unusual on this one then is because it is Prestige, it gets a chrome grille, which the other 1.5s don't. And that's kind of, at a glance then, to me it looks like the sedan at the front, which I always liked. But on the side then, you get these chrome door handles, and there's chrome around here. Now, normally, a lot of the time, I always bang on about, oops, try and zoom that out properly. I normally talk about dechroming them. So the 1 litres come with a car that has a chrome surround around the window and nowhere else. I don't think it makes sense to black these ones out, for the reason being the chrome grills at the front, the chrome on the side of the window is matched basically by the chrome that's on the door handles. So for me, it makes more sense to leave the chrome here because it matches these bits here, and also then what's on the front of the car also. When this car came into the garage, because as I was saying to you, we hadn't really had too many Prestiges over the last couple of years. When it pulled in, I just thought it was really, really smart looking. And I'm not actually normally a big fan of chrome on a car, but because it's black, I think it actually works really well on this car. As we're saying then, the car does have a service history. And the other thing then, I suppose, like we said to you, right? Think about it this way again. Now for me, these are probably more, sort of, how would you say, facts that stand out to me more so than other people. Chrome door handles, and chrome along through here. Right, fine. If you looked at a sedan, one of these, that is what you would have on the sedan. However, this is a little bit more distinct because they get a black wheel. So a sedan normally has a silver wheel. Just in case, what I mean by sedan is the saloon, longer boot, same front end, but just the longer saloon version of the Civic, just for anyone that's unfamiliar. And sorry if I'm patronising you by telling you that, I'm sure you know it. These are nice, shiny, reflective finish. They're diamond cut. They look lovely in the sun or at night time under artificial light. But they're a 17-inch wheel, so they fill the arch nicely. But they're not too expensive when it comes to maintenance on them. So after that then, the outside of the car will have things like tinted glass. It'll have these spoilers here, which are functional. So air comes down through here, out through there, off the back of the car in the most aerodynamic fashion possible. For me, now maybe everyone's got different opinions, but I think on a Honda Civic, black is probably one of the best colours in it. For the reason being, there's so many black matte plastic grills and stuff on the front and the rear of the car. So I think in black, it's a very, very congruent finish all the way through the car. Anyway, let's have a look around the stuff that's on the inside of the car, because this car has a massive level of spec. So like we're saying, Prestige, more subtle on the outside, has, we'll say, some nice distinct stuff. So you know it's not the 1 litre, you know it's not the diesel, but you know it's not the 1.5, the first and second models. So when you look at it on the inside, so that's what this car is all about. It looks a bit different on the outside, but it's a bit more classy and upmarket looking. I love that. I think that's really nice. You open up on both, and sorry, not on both, on all the doors all the way around. You get this Civic lighting as you go in. None of the other specs have that. And it's got that really nice full two-tone beige and black leather interior. 3 head restraints. Armrest with a drinks holder. Isofix. And the leather's in very nice condition. There is also a sunroof lighting up over your head, a black roof liner in through here, and then the door card remains brushed aluminium, two-tone black. This is plastic up here, that's black leather there, that's black beige leather there. Tweeter and speaker. There's also, while I think of it, a speaker up on the dash there. Tweeter, another speaker down through there. What's also really nice on the Prestige is the rear passengers. Now again, I do remind you, we have not cleaned this car yet. Rear passengers have heated seats in the rear. It's the only Civic that has that. Also kangaroo pockets there. Actually, do you know what? I'm sitting behind myself in a Honda Civic. We've had 4 of these cars at home. Good headroom and good leg room. So you'd sit comfortably in here as an adult. And actually, just to show you, one of the biggest reasons that we always bought these cars at home was, like I said to you, 4 of them in a row. 2018, 19, 20, 21. There is a big boot. Now, one thing that's important on a 1.5. A 1.5 has normally got a shallower boot. The reason is they normally have an exhaust that comes out through the centre. However, as this 1.5 is different, it has a box. Sorry about the wind noise. So in other words, it still has 2 functioning back boxes back through here, unlike the 1 litre, which only has 1 back box, and the diesel, which only has 1 back box. But normally the first and second models in the 1.5, they have an exposed exhaust that comes up through here. But the good news about that is that you get a deeper boot. What I mean by that is if you got a 1.5 with an exhaust, that means the whole floor of the car is raised, which means you end up with a shallower boot. What's also useful on these is if you want, you can put a spare wheel down through there, but there's also quite a large area for storage if you don't. So what I'm saying to you is on a 1.5, Prestige is the only one that gets the big deep boot, whereas the other 1.5s have a shallower boot. So it's one advantage on them. That cover over here is on all the models, really easy to use. If you stack up stuff in the back of the car, it's flexible. And then there's another one up here that hides the stuff in the back of the car, but you have tinted windows as well. Obviously, it's quite useful. Okay, we're going to go for a drive in a sec. Again, similar materials along this door like we saw on the rear door. Actually, while we're on the outside of the car, the key has a lot of functionality that you'd see on a lot of Hondas anyway. So I can lock the car. Really like those LED indicators. I can unlock the car so it brings on the lights. And then I can use this key over here as well if I want to let the windows down. Or if and actually the sunroof opens similarly as well. Or similarly, if I want, I can lock once, lock twice. The lights will turn off after about 30 seconds, but the wing mirrors are retracted and the sunroof and the windows are all closed as well. It is keyless entry. Back in the workshop, oh my God, the wind is just so bad. So what I can do is I can lock, I can hit it a second time, and it does what, you know, what the key is doing by double locking basically, or I can open it. So literally by putting my hand in, that's lock, that's unlock, and they just open. And they pop back as well. Actually, one other thing which I haven't mentioned, which I really like on these, I always say it on these videos, I love the side markers on Civics. What I mean by that is this little light over here. When you're behind the car at night time, it just makes them look a little bit wider than a normal car. And just to turn them back on again. So I think they look really, really nice. Even from the side profile and from the front. They're just kind of nice. They remind me of like a Volvo or something like that from years ago. Or probably Volvos maybe still have it, and I always like that feature on Volvos. Anyway, okay, so what we'll do is we will get into the car and we'll go for a drive. This is the car, so to start it, wow, the sun. Okay, so foot on the brake, push button here, that normally lights up red. It's kind of hard to see with the way the sun is at the moment. That starts up, you get the starting sequence in through there. Yellow light to tell you you're low on washer fluid. This is trip information, average speed, fuel efficiency, how much fuel is left in the car. I could probably pick a better place to park, just one sec. So like we were saying, this is changing trip information. My favorite one on a 1.5, it gives you a boost gauge. So I can enter that, and then see when we're driving in a sec, it actually shows you the level of boost. Absolutely pointless, unless you're into driving like myself, then you enjoy those kind of things. Headlight washers, lane departure warning, which vibrates the wheel and warns if you're drifting out of lane. There's also a lane keep assist function, so if I turn this on up here, press this, it'll then start to try and keep the car dead center by torquing the wheel left and right. There's also adaptive cruise control, which means you can tell the car how far you want to stay behind the car in front, and that'll automatically regulate your distance from the car in front. Wipers are automatic, lights are automatic, and they dip when you meet traffic, which is pretty cool. When you go into an unlit area, they go full again. Sunroof obviously over my head. There's a cover which we can cover over here as well if we don't want. Sunroofs are cool, it just really lights up the car on the inside. Okay, after that then, all volume controls for radio. There is drinks holders. Again, this car hasn't been cleaned, so bear with me on that. Haven't even hoovered it yet, but it is nice condition to be fair. USB connector, more USB connectors down through here. HDMI if you want to play a video up on the screen. They are aluminium pedals down through there. Gearbox, this is auto. Park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then there's a sport mode. And then you can also go up and down through the gears using, say for example, oh, sorry, terrible camera up there. Up the gears, down the gears. So they're not actually gears. It's a continuously variable transmission, which actually is not geared at all, but it simulates gears. Gears are more interesting, they're more fun. So you can go pretend, gives you kind of sensation. I'll show you when you're driving. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So it simulates what those gears would be like if they were there, and it makes it a more pleasurable driving experience. One other cool thing on this actually, it has adaptive dampers, which basically makes the car stiffer in cornering, and that means that the car doesn't roll as much, so you can go around corners a lot quicker. I'd like to see you do that on the main road, but anyway, but it's there. No, it is kind of cool. The car gets a lot stiffer in terms of feel. Technically, if you're out in a track or something like that, you could actually push the car harder. Reversing camera, right? But also it has this cross monitor. So see the way it's picking up this left and right? It's actually picking up cars outside of our visual field. And the other thing as well is this one will also have, see over here when I zoom in, when I start the car, the blind spot indicator also, which warns you if you've got something in your blind spot left or right that you mightn't have seen as you're going to change lane or stuff like that. This screen in through here, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, so you know, Google Maps and Spotify and Audible, all those things are available. But in fairness, it actually has Garmin navigation from the factory as well anyway. And down here then there is wireless charging, so I can place my phone there and it'll charge, or I can use the USBs. Dual zone climate, so different temperatures on each side of the car. Speed up, slow down, warm or cold, whatever you wanted. 3 stages of heat on the front seats, and we saw that links in with the rear seats. And then this here is electrochrome, so that means it darkens itself if somebody comes up behind you at night time. Like we're saying, it's a super rare car. Actually, now that I think about it, we had one in 2018, but it was a manual gearbox, not an auto gearbox like this. You see on these, right, you have a drive and a sport mode, okay? So I can toggle between the drive mode or the sport mode when I'm driving. But what you'll notice is basically when I go from drive back into sport, or sport back into drive, you'll see the engine revolutions change. So in other words, I go from D back into S, the engine revolutions increase, so it's ready to give me more power. Or if I go back into D, the engine revolutions calm down and it's giving me a more economical drive. The other thing you can use is these paddles. So on the left or right hand side, on the left for example, it's going to simulate the gears. I can go from 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or on the right hand side I can go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, driving pleasure, and it can prime the car for better overtaking. The dash locks are blue in this version, so on the other 1.5s it's red, but on this one it's blue, and you got that boost gauge in the centre. Again, as I said to you, you don't need to know it, but for me, I'm an idiot and I enjoy these kind of things in the car. It makes me engage with the car more, and enjoy what the car is actually doing, especially in a powerful engine like this. These cars feel really wide on the road. There's independent suspension even all the way around, and the car makes you feel confident. It sits nicely on the back road, but again, because you have that really nice engine as well, you'll see along through here, it accelerates quickly, and I think the automatic feels quicker than the manual because the turbo never gets a chance to kind of stop turning and spinning, so it feels like a quicker car than its manual counterpart. You're talking about 8-ish seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, and the cabin is just a really nice place to be in the Prestige. Nice big roof, nice leather all the way around, feels classy and upmarket. So it's fun to drive, but then that CVT gearbox allows the engine revolutions to sit quite low, so as a cruiser it's comfortable, but actually they're surprisingly economical. Cars like this knock out 5.5 to 6 litres per 100 kilometers really simply. There you have it. That is 1.5 turbo Honda Civic Prestige, very scarce car. We sold a brand new one in 2018, and this is only the second one I've ever had on site. They were quite expensive brand new, and especially an automatic as well. That car would have been over 35,000 euros at the time, which on Honda Civic that would have been quite expensive. Anyway, sorry, so windy, wow. If there's any information you want on the car, 086 843 1945. Call, text, WhatsApp. Brian's my name if you want information about the car, information about scrapping a car, trading in a car, finance, whatever you want to know. We are a family-run business in operation for more than 70 years. So anyway, hopefully you like the car because it's pretty cool, pretty rare. And thanks a million for watching. Hopefully the video has been helpful.